Hello everybody and welcome to another reaction video, and today we're going to be reacting to a band called The Contortionist. Never heard of them before, so I had to do a little bit of research, as I usually do, and I found not very much, unfortunately, but I found The Contortionist is an American progressive metal band from Indianapolis, Indiana, and they were formed in 2007, so they've been around for quite a while. They have released 4 studio albums and 3 EPs. The Contortionist has toured with many bands including Animals as Leaders, Protest the Hero, Born of Osiris, Periphery, Hatebreed, Between the Buried and Me, Revocation and Tesseract. Now, a couple of those bands I've actually looked at before, and other ones I have heard of before. So, you know, they've been around for a while. They've toured with some fairly well-known bands. Now, again, progressive metal is another one of those sort of hit-and-miss genres of music for me. Sometimes it can be really, really good, really, really interesting, and other times it can be pretentious beyond all belief and just be an absolute mess. So I'll be intrigued to see where this goes. Now, the track we're going to look at is a track called Language 1 Intuition. So I'm guessing there is probably several other tracks by the name of Language, I'm not sure. Tried to find out about the song and it didn't really say very much. So, well, it didn't say anything really, it just said the song is about intuition. And that was about it. So, we'll see what happens. I've got the lyrics up here as I usually do, so we shall see what we can discern from that. So I think we'll get straight to it. I'll put a link to the original video in the description below, as I normally do. So this is Language 1 Intuition by The Contortionist. very strange, but also pretty good. I mean, this is the sort of progressive that I don't mind it. This is pretty good because it's got a structure to it, as it were. Some of these prog bands, they're all over the place. They'll play a riff for a couple of seconds and then go into another one, then another one, then another one, then another one, and it sounds very segmented and all over the place. Sounds very, very messy to me. But this has got a decent structure to it, and it sounds really nice. It's quite a calm and soothing piece of music, and got to say, the guy's voice is really quite nice. From the lyrics, I really am not sure what it's about. I mean, I think it might be talking about evolution, possibly. The evolution of humanity and, ever expanding mind, possibly into... I don't know. I mean, it starts off being hyper-communication. Now, is he talking about hyper-communication between, like, human beings? Is it, like, talking about, like, the evolution of the human mind to be able to do things like telepathy, or, like empathy and stuff like that, being able to sense what someone's feeling, without them having to talk? Says, and goes on, restore our vision of natural progression. So again, natural progression is about, like, the evolution of the human race. Rising growths to reclaim the source, the center. Now, rising growths to reclaim the source, is that like rising in groves? Is that like growing in society? The groves being society? I don't know. And then it goes on with, we will be the salvation the mother seeks, traversing in all directions, reaching, expanding, balance finds its place, reaching for the mother sun, rooted to intuition, you are the language, ever flowing, ever echoing. Now, again, is this talking about, the expansion of mankind, the evolution of mankind? It says, we'll be the salvation the mother seeks, traversing in all directions. So it sounds like he's talking about, how the human race is expanding and, getting larger and covering more of the world, reaching and expanding, traversing in all directions. Balance finds its place. Now, that sounds more like a sort of hopeful phrase to me. It's like, at the moment, we're destroying the planet sooner or later, maybe hoping for a sort of happy medium where the human race and the planet can exist in harmony without causing too much damage to each other. I don't know. Reaching for the mother's sun, rooted to intuition, you are the language, ever flowing, ever echoing. I'm not sure about that. It's very interesting, and like I said, it's quite a calming and soothing piece of music. But I'm really not sure about any meaning behind the song, but I'm sure there is one, and I'm just completely missing it. I think we'll carry on and see what happens with the rest of the track. Well, there's another one of those songs that suddenly ended. I'm really at a loss at how to define that video, because it carried on there. Drift with the ebb and flow. Drift with the ebb and flow. 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 Intuition sets in, branching out from your seed to seek. Contrived sense of inception. Intuition speak to me. I'm really not 100% sure about what the song is about, and all I can imagine is it's, like I said, to do with the evolution of mankind and the way that we communicate with each other. But other than that, I'm really not sure. I'm intrigued to hear other stuff of theirs as well, actually, because when there was that verse 2, it said, as I covered before, when I paused the first time, it says, "We will be the salvation the mother seeks, traversing in all directions." Now, in that actual part of the song, when he was singing in his sort of calm, quiet, sort of collected voice that he used throughout the whole song. But if you actually listen, there seems to be some very quiet, harsh vocals in the background. You know, you can just hear them, they are there. So, is this an outlier of a song where they've used a different vocal style? I'm not sure. Because, you know, musically, you know, you can hear the metal influence, you know, in certain parts of it. But like I said as well, it's sort of really calm, really sort of almost relaxing music. It's really, really very nice and brilliantly executed. And, you know, it's not this overly fiddly, segmented, crappy prog that a lot of people seem to do, who seem to think we'll just play this guitar or this bass or these drums as fast and as meaninglessly as possible and we'll call it prog. This, like I said, it had structure to it, and there was a little bit there where it was almost like a jazz drum solo as well. You know, it was well structured, but it reminded me of like jazz drumming. It was a very interesting piece of music. It was quite, like I said, it's quite good, very calming. It's sort of music I could quite happily put on in the background, chill out to, maybe do some writing. Yes, I should be intrigued to hear some more of their stuff, and I'll be intrigued to find out if there's any further tracks in the language title, because like I said, this is language 1, Intuition. So is there a language 2, a language 3, a language 4, etc, etc, etc. I'd be intrigued to see what they would be if they do exist. So yes, strange, but quite enjoyable, and quite a different piece of music for this channel, really, because normally it's either something really heavy or it's something really hip-hoppy and rappy. But that one is quite different. Yes, I think we'll leave that one as it is. I can't really think of much more to say about it, because I'm really don't know what the actual meaning behind the song is. You know, I could be in the ballpark, I could be on a completely different planet, I don't know. So yes, I think we'll leave that one as it is. Now, if anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so by all means. You can drop a comment in the comments section below, or you can message me on my Facebook or my Instagram. The links for those are in the description. Just know that if you do suggest a track, it might take me a while to get around to it, because, you know, I get suggested dozens and dozens of tracks every single day, and, you know, my list is growing faster than I can record videos, so, you know, I do write down every track I get suggested. It'll just take me a while to get round to it, but it will be done. Excuse me. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. They are a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes. Namely those aimed towards people of the alternative subculture, such as people who wear alternative clothing or listen to alternative music. I think it's a very, very worthwhile charity because it's something that gets really overlooked. You know, all these other hate crimes that exist in the world, you know, they get so much coverage. You know, you've got racism, you've got sexism, you've got homophobia, you know, all these sorts of things. They get a lot of coverage, but very rarely do you hear about hate crimes that involve people getting attacked just because the way they dress or the taste in music that they have. You know, but it does happen, and it happens all too often. And you know, it's a ridiculous thing, and I cannot for the life of me figure out in my head how the people who commit these crimes can justify it in their mind. You know, just because someone dresses differently to you, just because they don't like the same music as you, how is that an excuse to verbally and physically attack someone? It makes no sense. You know, that's like, I've used this comparison before. It's like walking down the street and beating someone up because they like vanilla ice cream whereas you like chocolate. You know, at the end of the day, their choice makes no difference to your life at all. You know, it's like, I don't go down the street and attack people because they listen to classical music or opera or Eminem or Taylor Swift. You know, I don't attack people because, you know, they listen to that sort of music. You know, so why should it be okay for people who do listen to that music, for example, to attack us because we listen to heavy metal? And the funny thing is, heavy metal is so often misinterpreted. It's, you know, everybody's like, oh, heavy metal is evil. They're always talking about swearing and murder and, you know, sacrificing this, that and the other and stuff like that. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. If you actually think about, if you actually compare it, you know, most hip hop, you know, I mean, you can look at things like Insane Clown Posse, Brother Lynch Hung, even Eminem, for example. You know, a fair amount of their songs contain a hell of a lot of profanity. And a lot of them, you know, they're talking about killing people, you know. And this isn't something that actually happens very much in heavy metal at all. You know, in hip-hop culture, there is almost daily, there is something about gang wars, like East Side and West Side, you know, like fighting each other. You know, there's misconception that heavy metal is evil and bad and turns people to violence. I mean, how many times has Marilyn Manson been accused of causing a kid to go in and like shoot up a school or whatever, you know? But at the end of the day, it's mostly other forms of music that do this. Most heavy metal stays completely away from that sort of subject matter, you know. And you know, I had a friend at school who used to like make fun of the fact that I listened to heavy metal, and he was always going on about how it was full of swearing and stuff like that. Have you ever listened to an Eminem album and never not heard him shout some kind of profanity at least once per song? You know, don't get me wrong, I like Eminem, but then you listen to stuff like, I don't know, stuff like Bloodbath, for example, or I don't know, Emperor, Dimmu Borgir. You know, how often do you hear them use profanity in their albums? Very, very rarely. You know, Megadeth do use profanity, but not very often. Metallica, very, very rarely. You know, it does happen, I'm not denying that, but, you know, people have got this thing where, for some reason, metal and alternative music is a bad thing. And it's really not. It's really not. I mean, things like this track here, I mean, this is a metal band, and they're talking about, if I get it right, the evolution of mankind and nature. How is that a bad thing? You know, I've listened to bands like Illuvity, where they're singing about nature and how much they love their home. How is that a bad thing? You know, the three Meadows End tracks I did not so long ago, all three of them had a really deep and interesting meaning about the state of the world these days. You know, there was nothing inherently evil about them. I don't actually recall any profanity in any of those tracks. You know, they were all good songs with good, deep, and real-world meanings. You know, so where is all this coming? Anyway, I've gone off on a random tangent again. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, we're getting attacked for listening to different music, for dressing differently, and because people have got it in their head that it's an inherently evil and bad thing, but they still can't really justify the fact, and it needs to stop. And I think it's something that really needs to be addressed, and I really want the Sophie Lancaster Foundation to succeed in getting these hate crimes, you know, gone. You know, we need them gone. If you want to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're doing at the moment and what their end goal is, because, you know, they won't go off on a random tangent and start babbling on about absolute rubbish. And, you know, if you can help them in any way, that's absolutely fantastic. Even if it's something as simple as one of these bracelets, these Sophie Lancaster bracelets, like £1 in the store, I think. You know, even something as simple as that helps. Every small bit helps. So, if you can help in any way, that would be absolutely fantastic and greatly appreciated by all of them. But we're going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
We will be the celebration.